Recapping here. Today, I'm going to explain a drama, crime, action film called The Rover. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. Australia. 10 years after the collapse. A man sitting in his car, Eric. After a while he gets out and goes into a sort of hut where Asian music is playing. He pours himself a drink. 3 men are driving away fast in a truck. Archie, Caleb, and Henry. Following a botched robbery. They argue as to if they will go back for Henry's brother, who was injured and left behind. Henry himself appears to be injured. As they get into a fight, the truck crashes and they get stuck. Archie fumbles around with Eric's car while Caleb helps Henry out and they leave in Eric's car. Eric comes outside and watches as the 3 thieves drive away. He gets in the truck the thieves had left behind and follows in pursuit. Eric catches up fairly quickly and refuses to hang back even though they point their guns at him. Eric demands they give him his car back, but they refuse. Eric goes to strangle Archie but is knocked out by Henry's shotgun. A soldier lying in the street in his blood, just as he dies. Another young man, Henry's brother, who later reveals his name to be Ray, has also been shot but manages to get up, hobble over to a military jeep and drive away. Eric wakes up in a field, next to a buzzard. He is there with the truck and the thieves who had stolen his car are gone. Back to Ray, who parks the military jeep, gets out and slumps against a tree as he tends to his wound. Eric drives through a street with many trailers. He stops at a place that says food and asks about his car, though he is told they haven't stopped there and wouldn't have been able to get petrol there anyways. Outside he sees a man go into a house after urinating and follows him into, which is an opium den. A bunch of people are asleep but Eric finds a young man who is awake. Although he hasn't seen the car, he says Grandma may know about it. Eric goes to ask Grandma about his car but she is more focused on finding out his name and as to if he wants to sleep with a boy. He is told nothing despite how persistent he is. He walks into a room with 2 Asians and a dwarf and tells them he needs to buy a gun. Eventually, he follows the dwarf outside to one of the trailers. They are part of a traveling circus. The dwarf wants $300 in US dollars, but Eric does not have the money and so shoots the dwarf in the head before walking away. Now that he has a gun, Eric asks Grandma again about his car. She still wants to know his name and when he refuses she says she'll call him her baby. She says she saw 3 car men in it which came in one direction and left in another. She can tell him what they drank, smelled like and if they said anything. They didn't say anything though because they didn't stop there. She remarks that he must really love that car then. She asks what he loves so much and asks his name again. He points his gun at her but she moves his hand away and says not to be silly as he is just being rude. He leaves. Eric comes back to the truck to see Ray there, who recognizes the getaway car and wants to know about Henry. Eric wants to know too and asks where his brother is. He threatens to kill Ray but Ray passes out from his injuries. Eric goes into the food store but is held at gunpoint and will not be helped until he buys something. When Eric does, he is told where the doctor is. Eric drives through the night, with Ray passed out in the back. The doctor is already outside, along with a sort of older companion of hers who helps guard the place. As the 2 point their guns at Eric, she tells him to take out his gun. He complies, and she treats Ray. Eric doesn't answer her when she asks if Ray is his friend and instead wants to know what she wants for her services. The doctor says that she has no use for money and has gotten along fine without it. Eric goes to wash himself outside. He then notices and takes interest in a room filled with dogs in cages. The doctor comes and says she has to keep the dogs locked up there otherwise people will take them for food. She explains how people asked her to look after their dogs and then none of them ever came back. She offers to take a look at Eric's cuts, but he declines and walks out past her. The next day Ray is awake. The doctor wants to take a look at him, but as Ray takes a seat, Eric points his gun at him and demands to know where his brother is. Ray promises to take him south, where his brother is. Eric wants him to get up so that they can leave, but they are distracted by a noise outside, which means 2 cars are coming. Eric tells the doctor to get her rifle. The man who helps the doctor keep guard is shot and killed when he goes up to the cars. Eric is able to kill them all though. They are the Asian companions of the dwarf he had killed. He tells Ray that they are leaving and subdues the doctor, who is crying on the floor for her companion. Eric and Ray drive in silence for some time. Ray has been asleep, and when he wakes up asking where they are, he is not answered. He says that he is hungry. When it is darker out, they stop at a motel. Ray is ignored when he asks again for food once they have found a room. Eric orders him to say more about his brother, but he refuses. He then admits that he doesn't know where exactly they are. Eric calls him a half-wit, and then Ray admits he does know the name of the town where his brother was going. Eric takes one of his guns, empties the bullets of the others, and goes to sit outside. Ray comes outside soon to ask some others about how far away their destination is. He admits to Eric he was going to tell him anyway, and is still in control because Eric doesn't know exactly where they are in the town. Eric says he is taking him along because if his brother isn't there, he is going to slit Ray's throat. Eric asks who he is and Ray tells him his name. Ray answers that Henry had to go in a big hurry, and that's why he's not there with him and that he can't talk about it. Eric says that Ray got left behind to die, but Ray is adamant that that is not how it happened. He keeps saying that he can't about it much more. He believes in God, as does his brother Henry, and he knows God and Henry won't let harm come to him. Eric tries to shake Ray's faith in God and in his brother. All that means anything he says is that he's there and his brother is not, and that people leave people to die. Ray gets up and goes back to their room. While in the room, Ray notices one of the guns and puts his own bullets from his pocket in. Military drive by the motel, but Ray ducks down. When he hears a knock at the door, he doesn't answer but just shoots. Opening the door, he sees that he has killed a little girl who was bringing them blankets. Ray is able to just close the door in time when there are gunshots. More come through the window. Eric curiously goes to check it out. Ray is scared and only gets a few shots in while cowering. Eric kills the military man and grabs Ray, telling him to come with him. They leave and continue to drive. While sitting outside, Ray explains that a lady he talked to said that they would be 8 or 9 hours away. He explains that his brother should be there for 2 weeks for something he has to see a man about. Eric says that his brother can't be trusted, but Ray assures he knows this himself in addition to having heard it from his brother. Ray asks Eric if he worked in the mines, but Eric says he was a farmer. He does not answer Ray's question about his shooting abilities. Ray tells a story about growing up next to a farm and his neighbors. Ray explains that he just remembered it as it is something interesting to him and that not everything has to be about something when Eric asks why he is telling him this. Ray admits that he is trying to stop thinking about the little girl, but that he can't. Eric says that he shouldn't and that the price he pays for taking a life is that he should always think about it. The next morning, Ray gets up to go for a walk while Eric is still asleep. Eric is found by the military and taken away. Ray watches but stays hidden. While Eric is being kept by the military before being transported to Sydney, he explains that he already knows it is over for him, and that it was over for him a long time ago. He asks the military man if he knows it is over for him as well. Upon being told he is being sent to Sydney, he asks why he isn't just being shot, and the military man says he is doing what he is told to do, and that he is doing it for himself. Eric then explains that he followed his wife going off to be with another man and that he then killed them both. It hurt him that nobody came after him or that it didn't matter what he had done, and that it hurt more than having his heart broken. The military man won't let him say much else and says that he doesn't know what he is talking about. Suddenly, they hear yelling and Ray comes in. He kills the military man, but Eric tells him he doesn't need to shoot him again to be sure. Ray releases him and they leave as Ray excitedly explains how he made his way over there to help Eric escape. Eric and Ray are driving again. Eric turns down Ray's offer to drive. Ray says he doesn't like not talking and then mentions his side is hurting. They stop so that Eric can put water on Ray's wound before bandaging it back up again. They then pull up to get gas, but the place only takes US dollars, which Eric doesn't have any more of. Ray has plenty of cash though and also buys himself and Eric more bullets. Eric and Ray stop at a fence and Ray explains to Eric about people coming in a week to do business with his brother. He assures Eric that he knows this to be true and Eric says that they will be come by in the morning. When it is night time, Ray sits in the truck for a little while, singing along to a girly pop song. He eventually turns off the music and after pausing for a moment, gets out and goes by the fire where Eric is sleeping. Ray wakes up Eric to ask if he is going to kill Henry and is only told to go to sleep. Eric repeats this when Ray tries to explain how there is money they can take. Early the next morning they drive to a neighborhood. Once they get out, Ray leads the way. After walking for a short time, they find Eric's car parked at a house. Eric gets into his car. Ray is confused and asks what he is doing and Eric gets out. He tells Ray to wait there while he looks through the windows of the house. He comes back to let Ray know they're asleep and mentions the positions of the 4 men. He wants Ray to take Henry and another man and bring them to the front room, though no shooting. Eric goes into the house and rouses Claude and Archie. Ray finds his brother and another man. Ray doesn't sound very confident but is able to wake up Henry, who is confused to see Ray there and with a gun on him. Eric has directed his 2 men into the front room and tells them to sit on their hands. While Ray looks towards Eric, Henry pulls a gun on him and asks why he is doing this, but Ray is more adamant in wanting to know why he was left behind. Eric again asks what's going on. Ray shoots, but misses, hitting the wall. Henry shoots Ray in the throat. Eric shoots Claude and Archie as he sees Ray dying on the floor. Henry cries over having had to shoot his brother. Eric comes over to see that Ray is dead. Henry wants to know what Eric did to his brother. Eric says he didn't do anything but Henry says otherwise and wants to know what it was. As he gets up, Eric shoots him down. He thinks of shooting the older man sitting on the bed there but does not. He sits down on the bed where Henry was and cries, while he and the man look at each other. Eric drags the bodies outside, including Ray's, and burns them. He then goes to sit in his car. He drives and then stops, getting out a shovel of his car. He then goes back to get a dog from the trunk, which dead and wrapped in a blanket with flies buzzing around it. He had wanted his car back so badly so that he could bury his dog. He begins to dig into the rough ground with his shovel and the film ends. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications, and leave a like, it really helps our channel. Thank you for watching.